Coming up next on Arizona Horizon's Journalists Roundtable, new polls show Doug Ducey and Christine Jones the frontrunners in the GOP gubernatorial primary, and accusations fly early and often in the Republican Attorney General primary debate. The Journalists Roundtable is next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon's Journalists Roundtable. I'm Ted Simons. Joining us tonight, Mary Jo Pitzel of the Arizona Republic, Howard Fisher of Capital Media Services, and Jeremy Duda of the Arizona Capital Times. Recent polls show that many Republican voters are still undecided in the GOP primary for governor, but among those Republican voters who have made a decision, Doug Ducey and Christine Jones lead the way. I think, according to these polls, there's a poll to show you just about what's going on out there.
Yeah, as you say, there is a poll to sort of show almost everything you want, except I haven't seen one that says that Frank Riggs is leading. But it does appear that this race has become a horse race between Jones and Ducey, but with some of the developments that have happened this past week, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it might open up an opportunity for a Scott Smith or a Ken Bennett to move up in the polls.
And the one who really can take advantage of this is the guy who's been the nice guy, and B, hasn't been attacked by anybody, who is Ken Bennett. One of the interesting things in the polls showed that among independents, assuming they turn out, he's extremely popular because of the fact he's not leading a nasty campaign, and he's perceived as a nice guy. Now, I know the old saying, nice guys finish last, and it may very well happen in this race too. But at the rate that Ducey and Jones and Smith are attacking each other, it may be hard for some folks to vote for any of these people.
Yeah, is Bennett not being attacked because so far he's not seen as a threat?
I think so. I mean, if you want to know who's leading, look at whoever is, training their fire on. It's Ducey and Jones, and their IEs are going after each other. We're starting to see a little more on Smith now, so maybe he's creeping up. But you haven't seen it on Bennett yet. Of course, he has stockpiled all of his money. He doesn't have that much because he's a clean elections candidate, but he stockpiled it all, launched his first ad today, the same day early ballots come out. So he's hoping that'll be enough to make a splash. But if he starts to make a splash, maybe everyone starts training their fire on him instead of just Ducey and Jones and Smith.
Do we have any indication, undecided in the behavior research poll, half of the voters are on, do we have any indication at all how they're leaning? Anything?
How voters are leaning?
The undecideds, yes.
I haven't seen anything that indicates that.
Nothing.
Now, there was a separate poll done by people who support Ducey that suggests a much smaller undecided, but it's still in the 20-some% range. And I think a lot of folks are waiting to be convinced. I think there's two things going on. What they've heard so far has been mainly a negative message. Don't vote for so-and-so because. And they want to vote for something. And I think that's really the key. And then the other part of it is I think they'd like to wait and see, they'll get their early ballots, they'll hang on to them. But it still comes back to the issue of what are you voting for? Are you running for something? I mean, as a variation on the question you asked Mark Brnovich, are you running for Attorney General or are you just running against Tom Horne?
Is that the reason you think there's so many undecided? It's so negative that really you're just kind of waiting around for something to catch fire, and if it's the other guy, so be it?
That might be. I mean, voters have seen so much, at least from a couple of the candidates right now, and the undecided, they're the ones who are going to be sending in their ballots this weekend. The rest of them are going to hold on to them, and they might be waiting to see, a nice guy Bennett or a nice guy Smith. We're also seeing an extraordinary number of independents, which could potentially play an interesting role in this. More independents pulling Republican ballots, and I think the total number of independents who voted in the both primaries 2 years ago. And, Smith indicated to me that he's kind of angling for some of those folks. I know there's a lot of people who feel like more independent turnout in that primary would benefit him because he's viewed as more of the moderate.
However, there was that behavior research poll that came out this week that did show independents are leaning more towards Bennett, sort of in line with what Howie said, sort of this nice guy persona, and he's not out there, hammer and tong after his opponents.
And then you've got the Andrew Thomas factor.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that our good friend Greg Patterson has got a crystal ball about how he's going to pull this out, but you've got a core group in there who see him as the guy who, quote, stood up to the gay lobby. Didn't remember them being registered, but that's okay. Who see him with his little patent line along the border and say they're looking for a basic solution. And these could be high efficacy voters, and they could upset the whole apple cart.
I was going to say, if nothing else, a spanner in the works, don't you think?
Yeah, and he could potentially be taking some votes away from someone else, probably, or most likely Christine Jones. She's the one who's been beating on this border security and illegal immigration drum the longest. Everyone's kind of doing it now, but she started out with that as like the main pillar of her race, and that's Thomas's issue and always has been for 12 years. So no one's taken that away from him.
I want to get to that issue in a second, but we also got an endorsement from Joe Arpaio, and he endorsed Doug Ducey. Surprised?
Well, a little bit if you saw how much Christine Jones was courting the sheriff for his endorsement, to the point that she stood up at a fundraiser and sang a song. She serenaded him and made it very clear that she was looking for his backing. But Sheriff Joe said, well, Doug Ducey, I think, is the guy that can do the job on the border. Most of his endorsement was really focused on the border, underscoring that immigration is apparently what's running this race, and mentioned that he's the son of a police officer.
Well, let me get into one other thing too, Ed, which is first of all, what are endorsements worth? But second of all, how many people make endorsements based on who they think will win, so they appear to have some strength? At the risk of picking on Mary Jo's boss, that lackluster endorsement of Doug Ducey in last Sunday's Republic was sort of let's see, he doesn't support Common Core, which we support. He doesn't support Medicaid expansion, which we support. He didn't support the Prop 100 temporary tax, which we support, but we're going to back him anyway.
Because he's likely to win. Because
he's likely to win. And I'm wondering, a lot of times the endorsement is, who's likely to win, and that makes me more important.
There's one more thing at play here with that Arpaio endorsement, isn't there?
There is, and a couple of sources told me today is that the Ducey endorsement came down to pretty much one thing. Paul Babeu endorsed Jones, and Joe Arpaio is not going to follow an endorsement by Paul Babeu. Views him as a rival. One of my sources told me that Arpaio actually preferred her, but because of the Babeu endorsement, he decided not to follow suit. You put Joe right here and ask him. He's the #1 sheriff in Arizona. He's not going to follow another sheriff's footsteps.
Yeah.
So the politics of endorsements. I mean, there's politics behind the politics.
Well, let's talk about the endorsement itself, though. Is this the single most important endorsement a Republican running for governor in Arizona can get?
Absolutely. I think.
You think so?
Polling you talk to Republican campaign operatives, and polling shows that's really the one endorsement that might move the needle, even if just a little bit. That could matter in a tight race. Most endorsements, we pay attention to them. The candidates pay attention to them. Most voters don't care if Ted Cruz or Mike Lee or Scott Walker endorsed Doug Ducey.
And let me go a step beyond that. Everyone would normally think it would be the governor's endorsement. Well, the governor is not liked by certain elements of the party, some of them who will be turning out in force. Again, Medicaid, Common Core. And so that's what makes, if the immigration is the issue du jour, which would make Joe's endorsement much more important.
How would the governor endorse Doug Ducey when and actually all of them except for maybe Scott Smith and perhaps Ken Bennett, they've all gone on record, here's what I would do, all things that the current governor hasn't done. Isn't it a de facto criticism?
Well, I think that's why she's not endorsing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Voting's begun, and Jan Brewer has endorsed in the Attorney General's race, in the Secretary of State race, in the Treasurer's race. She hasn't said anything about school superintendent, but her silence on the governor's race is telling.
Yeah, I think the conventional wisdom that she would back Smith, because he's the only one who backs her on these controversial issues among Republicans like Medicaid, like Common Core, and he'll really stand up for these things. But we haven't heard anything so far, and I guess it was also conventional wisdom that the Republic was going to endorse Smith too. So.
Well, but that comes back to my original point. Maybe the governor's feeling the same way. I want to back somebody who I think is going to win, and if she backs Smith and he falls to third or fourth, then that takes the wind out of her sails. Remember, this is a woman who wants to continue in power beyond January. She has a federal political action committee, she has a state political action committee, and she wants to remain relevant.
Well, she better make an endorsement soon if she wants to remain relevant.
Oh, no, I think she can say, we have many fine candidates, and you should pick between them. See, that way you don't back a loser if you don't back a winner.
And if you look at, if you wanted a sense of where Brewer might endorse, look at who she's endorsing in legislative races. You have the Medicaid Republicans, yes. And she's out there for them. She's backing them, her PAC's sending them money, and she's doing endorsements for them to sort of protect her legacy. In fact, that's the name of her PAC. So it would sort of line up for Smith, but isn't going to happen.
Doesn't seem like it. But border issues, you wrote about this, Jared. Border issues, I thought it was the economy. I thought it was jobs. It's not. I mean, border issues paramount in that GOP primary.
Yeah, I thought the main issue of this race would probably be economic growth, jobs as well. And when Christine Jones, came out right out of the gates with the illegal immigration and border stuff, I thought, I wonder what she's thinking. And then you see what she's thinking is that polling still shows that this is what voters care about. And everyone else is kind of following suit now, talking about their border plans, who's going to be tougher.
But what happened in between has nothing to do with what Arizonans were thinking. The Rio Grande Valley got overwhelmed with 50,000 unaccompanied minors, and several thousand of them wound up here, being flown in, being bussed in. That made it an Arizona issue. And I mean, I love the folks who were going to say, we had candidates saying, I will be on the border between Arizona and Mexico, stopping the buses. Never mind they were flying over, but we'll leave that aside. But that's what made it an issue. It's some type, look, same thing. What made Jan Brewer second term? Senate Bill 1070. Immigration. She had an issue handed to her.
High ground poll, immigration among Republican voters, number one at 63%. The economy, number two at 21%.
Yeah. But I think, as Howie points out, I think a lot of that is driven, that big gap there, a lot of that's driven by current events and people conflating these refugee kids who are seeking refuge with, illegal border crossers coming across in the dark of night over the Arizona-Mexico border.
Back to my original point, though, when we were talking about here, the de facto criticism of the governor. It would seem like Smith, if these numbers are true, it hurts Smith the most, and yet it helps those who were, basically saying they're going to do stuff they can't do.
Yeah, everyone has these plans, but the problem is a lot of these aren't really very realistic, and Smith likes to point this out and say, well, if you were going to send the National Guard and build fencing, you're basically saying Jan Brewer hasn't done her job. And I spoke with the governor's office the other day, and they'll tell you there's a good reason they haven't done these things. You said the National Guard, A, that's expensive, B, they can't even operate on the border because that's federal and tribal land. You need permission that you're not going to get. They can't actually enforce federal law unless they're sent down by the feds or get federal permission, which they're also not going to get. So you have people who are be operating 100 miles back from the border who can't apprehend anyone. And if you do, you just turn them over to the feds, who the governor's office says, they just turn them loose anyway.
Yeah, but that hasn't stopped it. Look, the U.S. House is meeting tonight to talk about a border bill which will give states money to put their National Guard on the border. It's one of those nice solutions, the boots on the ground. It's a feel-good solution.
All right, so immigration is number one, but that still doesn't stop the negative attacks. We've got the Ducey business deal question when he sold his Cold Stone Creamery and offered a job to an attorney that was involved in the negotiation. What was that all about?
Well, I don't think it was a job offer per se, but after this a televised debate between the GOP candidates came up, Christine Jones went after Ducey for the sale of Cold Stone Creamery to the successor company and some problems with that. And somewhere in the scrum of that, out comes this email from an attorney who represented the new, who helped negotiate the deal for the new owner, Kahala. And Ducey apparently called this attorney a couple of days after the televised debate and just, said that he would look forward to sort of introducing himself and look forward to working with him in his administration.
What's coincident? Ducey says, I've been talking to a lot of business people. I just happen to call a lot of attorneys these days. Curiously enough, and everything being linked to everything else, Leo Buse is involved, in fact, with the whole Cardin blow up too. So who knows what's real anymore?
And he's also involved with Jones. He's given Christine Jones money. Jones used to work for his law firm, and he also was Andy Thomas's lawyer. So this kind of shows you what a small world Arizona politics can be.
A small and confusing world. You lost me about 3 sentences ago. And Christine Jones goes on a conference call to address some of the criticisms against her regarding whether she thinks that Janet Napolitano and Hillary Clinton are what?
Well, one of the things that Ms. Jones is learning is something that every teenager is a lesson for every teenager. If it goes up on the World Wide Web, it stays on the World Wide Web. I mean, this goes back to congratulating Barack Obama, or even saying something nice about Hillary Clinton. What's really unfortunate is the atmosphere has become so toxic that saying something nice about a political foe is a death sentence among your own party, which is really sad. Look, there are a lot of things to be said about Benghazi, what should have been done. Her point, I think, in talking about Hillary Clinton is it's a difficult job, and Hillary is doing what she can. And yet now that's going to be used against her. And that's really unfortunate.
But she says, she kind of backtracks from those statements too, and I don't blame her considering how much flack she's taken. But she says, oh well, I didn't mean she was a good Secretary of State. I just meant good compared to these other clowns in the Obama administration. But it doesn't say that, and if you run a 30-second ad with those quotes, which people have against Jones, there's going to be no mention of that. Like to say in politics, if you're explaining, you're losing.
Right.
And it comes
digging
down
in deeper. Yeah.
Exactly. And it comes down again to the point that opposition research, the internet has made it a lot easier. Anybody who watches The Daily Show and finds him coming up with 20-year-old film clips, if you said it, it's going to be out there and it's going to come back to bite you in the derriere.
All right. Speaking of getting bitten in the derriere, there was a lot of biting going on during the Attorney General's debate between Attorney General Horn and Mark Brnovich. Howie, this was go get 'em from the get-go, and what did you make of it?
Well, it was interesting in the sense that Horn, I think, realized that his only defense is, I've been a good Attorney General. But he was lackluster about it. He didn't push it. I mean, if I'm Tom Horn sitting in a seat and Mark Brnovich is attacking me, I say, well, exactly how many cases have you tried in front of the Supreme Court, Mr. Brnovich? Or exactly how many times have you stood up for women in Colorado City? Instead, it was this sort of bland, I've done this, I've done that. And while Brnovich was going for the jugular. And so I don't know that Horn did himself any favors.
Well, Horn's trying to put this stuff out there, but it just shows you how bad his problems are. Everything keeps coming back. There's so many scandals at this point, and he tries to deflect one, here comes another one. He's trying. It's always going to come back to that because people don't like the answers they're hearing to that. So, oh well, it's the liberal media. Well, maybe you can blame a conspiracy for one, but 2, 3, 4, 5. There's so many things flying around at this point.
I love the liberal media blame in the middle of all that.
Well, you guys were exempted
although
from that, not us.
He specifically said,
Yes.
Gee, Ted, I like you.
Well, that was very, very impressive.
But you would think that if you're saying his best defense is that I'm a good Attorney General and to cite accomplishments in that office, that should be enough. But he's lapped himself by having all these scandals, the investigations, and there does seem to be a story about every week now that we're into this investigative phase. There's a new filing, a new prosecutor.
But we have talked. I mean, for months we have said he needs to get this stuff put to bed, quiet, and move on.
But he's not.
But he does.
But he
keeps
hasn't.
it going.
Well, that's my point. He hasn't, and we said if he doesn't, this is going to go up right to election time. It's gone up right to election time.
Look, there is a hearing on the 5th in Superior Court where he's trying to disqualify Bill Montgomery from looking into the current allegations about using his office.
There's a hearing on August 11th.
There's on August 11th where he's challenging the authority of the Clean Elections Commission. See, he's thinking like a lawyer, which is the problem. He's saying, I will beat them in court. Meanwhile, the court of public opinion is basically saying, I'm sorry, we don't care.
Unless he can win all of these cases before August 26th, it's
Which
not really
is-
going
which
to
is not
matter.
gonna happen.
And there's a good number of them out there.
But in the debate in general, is Brnovich proving to be a qualified candidate for Attorney General? I mean, Horn sat here right there and said, you're a minor leaguer.
Well, in terms of fundraising, I mean, certainly he's been a minor leaguer, and it's been stunning to me that with all of Horn's problems, Brnovich has only raised, $120,000 or so, which, Horn's isn't much better, but, Brnovich's problem is that nobody has ever heard of him. He's got a name that's missing a vowel, he's not up on TV, no one's heard of the guy, but what he's got going for him is that everyone's heard of Tom Horn, but most of the things they've heard are not good.
Which comes back to the point that we were making earlier. Are you running for Attorney General or are you running against Tom Horn? And I think the answer is the latter. He does have a background. He has been a federal prosecutor. I got to know him a little bit then. I got to know him more heading the Department of Gaming, but most people don't get in the middle of the Department of Gaming. He needed to be out there doing the things that Horn was trying to do, saying, here are the cases I've handled, not just I prosecuted cases in federal and state court. Yeah, okay. And again, there's nothing affirmative. It's just, I'm not Tom Horn and you should vote for me.
Very quickly, last thing on the debate, you were here for this, and you saw Brnovich and Horn. Brnovich came on pretty strong, and Horn at one time said, we don't want an Attorney General who can't keep his temper, quit bellowing at me, I think he said at one point. Can you be a little too tough on Tom Horn?
No, I think that Horn has a very flat affect. no matter what, whether he's pounding the table or not, it's that same sort of monotone voice. If you're in Brnovich's position, and if your campaign is "I'm not Tom Horn," then you've really got to go for the jugular.
Okay. Speaking of debates, last night we had the Republican primary debate for Congressional District 9, Andrew Walter and Wendy Rogers. Your impressions?
Not ready for prime time. It was very interesting because Wendy Rogers has been around the block before. She ran last time, so she's had some exposure as a candidate, but she seemed unsure of how to present herself. Walter, as a first-time candidate, what did he bring to the table? Lots of football references, and he found that Wendy Rogers misspelled her name on a campaign form. You know, I don't know if that's going to light a fire under a lot of Republican voters in CD9.
I mean, it really is fascinating. You see, if I'm Kyrsten Sinema, I take that 28 minutes and I save it and I put it in a little box and I trot that out during the general election campaign, no matter who wins, and say, this is what these people are about, and watching them attack each other, because it was down to nitty gritty. You didn't file your campaign disclosure on time. His response, well, but I filed an extension. Her response, but I didn't see it. He said, that's why I filed an extension. I mean, this is what it came down to. I mean, I was surprised that you didn't pull out an AR-15 and shoot both of them last night.
Thank you, Howie. That's a pleasure to hear. But you know, it is interesting to see. It was an odd debate. It just felt like it was one of those where I did not necessarily feel in control as a moderator.
Well, I as a viewer, I didn't get a sense that they were really well grounded in the federal issues. You know, I mean, immigration really is a federal issue, you know, notwithstanding what all these governor candidates are talking about. And there seemed to be some uncertainty. Well, what's in Matt Salmon's bill? And Andrew Walter seemed to know the number of the bill, but maybe not a lot of its provisions.
Well, this is probably going to be a pretty irrelevant debate in the end, because, I mean, even a year ago, most Republicans I talked to were writing off CD9, saying Sinema's too strong. That's why you don't see stronger candidates running against him. I don't know, or running against her. I don't think Republicans would even care who wins the primary, because, I mean, it looks like, you know, Sinema's going to cruise, and, you know, obviously no one better is running. You know, the people that Republicans view in that area as top-tier candidates, they stayed out of this. Vernon Parker, you know, started to run again, and he dropped out to run for Corporation Commission.
Right. Speaking of which, we haven't got enough time for half of this. But what's going on with solar protesters outside of APS money? What is going on out there?
What you have is this big divide on the GOP primary for Corporation Commission. You have two teams, and one team, Tom Farese and Doug Little, are being supported by the Free Enterprise Club and another group called Save Our Future Now. And Lucy Mason and Vernon Parker, the other Republican team, are being advocated for defeat by the Free Enterprise Club and this other group. And this all leads to, since these are dark money groups, they're nonprofit corporations that don't have to disclose donors, it's led to all kinds of speculation about, well, so where's the club? Where are these groups getting their money from? You know, the Corporation Commission, could it be the state's largest utility?
And what's fascinating is that sometimes in prior years when APS has been asked, have you given to something, they've denied. This has been sort of the non-denial, which makes you wonder, because corporations cannot give directly to candidates, but they can give to other groups, thank you Citizens United, which can give to candidates, which, you know, suggests that perhaps do they want certain people elected who they think will be more friendly toward their idea of what solar power should be than perhaps Lucy Mason and Vernon Parker, who have an idea, who are backed by this Tusk, you know, the taking solar utilities.
Tell utilities solar won't be killed.
I know. I love when they come up with the acronym first, and the idea that perhaps you know, if Vernon Parker and Lucy Mason are in there, they may in fact tell APS, you will buy back their power.
But this is an elected position. Voters are going to vote on this. Are people keeping up with it? It's hard enough to keep up with it when you're supposed to keep up with it.
I don't know. I mean, this is such a low-profile race, and more high-profile than it has been because of this. You know, all the dark money accusations, the allegations against APS in this race and other races, the Secretary of State's race as well, where same group, Free Enterprise Club, is spending a lot of money to help the son of to help Justin Pierce, whose father, who's on the Corporation Commission and has done APS a few good turns in the last couple of years.
But on the Corporation Commission, I think the message, because it's a down ballot race, and the message that's coming out in favor of Faris and Little is that they're going to fight Obama. It's so it's anti-Obama
Yeah.
is the flavor of the campaign season.
I
If
didn't
you're
know the
doing
Corporation
that,
Commission did that.
everybody is
Yeah.
running. Any Republican is running on that. So you wonder if that's going to tip the balance.
All right, we got to stop it right there. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Monday on Arizona Horizon, find out what you need to know before taking part in the early voting process, and we will look at how the latest genomics research is impacting the future of medicine. That's Monday evening right here on Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great weekend.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.